from just doing TV to, content creation, business management, I'm now moving to a whole different thing that I love, but also I have to put like 10 times the work. And it's harder when you're a lady. I don't want to lie to you. In the IT industry, it is harder when you're a lady and you're black because whether
Yes,
we like it or
sure,
not.
sure. And what you are saying is very much true. I've seen it in the SOC that as a female, it's
Mhm.
much more harder because you are undermined. You can also lose confidence working in the SOC. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to it. My name is Mr. Fingers,
Mhm.
and I am that cybersecurity guy. Hey, if it is your first time tuning in, welcome to the show. As you know, I interview people who are in the tech industries, different people who are in different careers. So today's guest is a phenomenal guest. Today, we have a pleasure of hosting a remarkable individual whose journey is from being a television presenter to now being a cybersecurity analyst. She's not your average cybersecurity professional. Before venturing into the realm of cybersecurity, her career took an unexpected turn as she found herself in the spotlight as a presenter. But however, she was fueled by the initiative of curiosity and the thirst for knowledge and wanting more into this life. Now, with over 5 years' experience in being in the cybersecurity industry and working in the SOCs, what we call security operation centers, Kia has emerged as a seasoned cybersecurity analyst and also as an incident response engineer. Her journey into the cybersecurity began as a skills program, but it was also her unwavering determination and relentless pursuit for excellence that propelled her forward. Gia's story is a testament that the power of perseverance and also believing in yourself that you can make anything possible. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Gia Masula. Welcome, Gia.
Boop, 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 boop. Hi, BK. Thank you so much for the lovely intro. I'm already like so excited for this interview.
Yeah.
And I totally hope someone out there, will be helped by this, will be inspired by this. So, yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited to be having you on the show. And I feel like your journey and your story, it's so amazing and how you got into cybersecurity. I already know your story. And I feel like people out there,
Mm-hmm.
they don't know your story, how you got into cybersecurity, how you got introduced to cybersecurity. I mean, growing up, we don't know anything about cybersecurity. We only know IT. But I want you
Mm-hmm.
to take us through your journey in terms of how were you introduced to cybersecurity while you were still a presenter and all that.
All right. So, my journey started very funny, but when I look back, I see how just God pre-orchestrates things because when I finished my matric, right, my mom didn't have a job, and then I got like a learnership program. I did like end user computing and marketing. I completed that, but initially I wanted to study business management. And my second option was IT, right? So I got that skills, that learnership, and then I finished it. I did my practicals in a labor center, like the Department of Labor. And then from there, I got into school. I did business management. IT was still like my second option. It was always my second option. And I finished school. I was doing so much. I was a TV presenter. I used to anchor like tech news. So you can just see how this IT journey, this IT thing has always been following me. And, to my surprise, I didn't even think I would end up here. But for some reason, it's always been there. So I got like a skills program. We did like system support, and the company that we were doing the skills program from, they were like, okay, you're gonna do your practicals at an IT company, you get to learn stuff, and then you finish your qualification. And then I think 2 months down the line, the company was like, hey, no, we're actually going to take you. You're going to be employed here. And I'm like, what? So yeah, that's how I got into it. And I just landed straight into the SOC, you
Yeah.
know?
And
Yeah,
a lot of people don't know that the SOC can get very hectic as well, which is a security operations center.
it
And
is. And
mhm,
bear in mind, at that point, I didn't have the technical skills, I just had the theory and I had the passion and the love for it,
yeah.
So it was now up to me to say, you know what, I need to keep up and get to do, like, be the best at what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah, but how was that for you?
Mm.
Because you're coming from a background where you have no prior experience and knowledge. So now you have to be upskilled in terms of you being upskilled. Because
Mm.
I know, Jorge, it sometimes can slow the team down. But how were you finding that in terms of upskilling yourself? What were you doing to upskill yourself?
Do you know what? I don't want to lie to you. It was very, very hard because you are in a working environment. You're not in school where everyone has the patience for it. You're thrown into the client's den. You have to deliver, But I thank God so much that at that time I had a manager who I can say just had a soft spot for me. You know, he was one of the best, and he was always willing to show me things and tell people, hey, you know what? Show this lady things, show her how to do it. She will do it. I know she can. He just believed in me so much, and I feel it made my journey into it smoother. It was hard because I constantly now have to put in the extra effort,
Mhm.
seeing that I don't have the technical skills, I don't have like that much of a solid background. I had to now start learning. I had to start upskilling my own knowledge, and just I think overall it's just being intentional about everything.
Yeah, and I feel like that was very
Mm.
hard, like learning new stuff because your brain is used to comfortability and all these things are technical, and you're like,
Mm.
yo, what is this? You
It
know?
was, it was because from just doing TV to, content creation, business management, I'm now moving to a whole different thing that I love, but also I have to put like 10 times the work,
Mm,
and it's harder when you're a lady. I don't want to lie to you. In the IT industry, it
yeah.
is harder when you're a lady and you're Black, because whether
Yes.
we like it or not, this industry is dominated mostly by Indians. And the company that I joined, it was like a proper Indian company, but they were so good to me. They taught me so much, and I'm so grateful
Yeah.
because without them, I wouldn't have been here.
Sure, sure. And what you are saying is very much true. I've seen it in the SOC that as a female, it's
Mm,
much more harder because you are undermined and you can also lose confidence working in the SOC. That's another thing I think we don't talk about,
definitely.
because everybody's like, the money, the money.
Mm,
But I want you to talk about these two things how, how did you feel when you first noticed that you were undermined as a female and working in a SOC, but how you finding it as a female working with guys? Because most of the time you get that maybe you're the only female or there's only two of you
mm,
females. How do you find it
absolutely.
working in the SOC? Because sometimes guys feel pressure from a lady. They were like, this girl mustn't know more than me
Mm.
and all that. But
Yes,
how are you finding that though? It's so fun.
it's so funny because you constantly have to prove yourself. I mean, the IT sector, let alone the cybersecurity sector, is a male-dominated industry, But now more ladies are coming into it, and it's becoming like a little bit more smoother. But back then, it was so hard. I had to constantly prove myself, and I just had to teach myself to know what I stand for and be firm by
Mm,
it. There are some times where someone who's senior is just questioning you and is just undermining your technical skills. No matter what, I always made sure that I just had to be confident in whatever I'm saying. It
sure.
didn't even have to be right most of the time. But I think the most important thing is just to learn from them.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's
I
actually
showed
true.
them, what, I'm not a threat. I need to learn from you. There were so many times I was mistreated, but I had to just be the bigger person and say, no, but you know what, teach me this, show me this. I'm not your competition. I'm just here to learn from you.
Ooh,
That's all.
I like that as
Mm.
well. That's very cool because
Mm.
I mean, as you're saying, you can't get undermined whatever you do. But
A
your
lot.
work has to talk for you. That's one thing I've learned.
Mm-hmm.
If your work
Mm-hmm.
can speak for you, you can do amazing things.
Exactly. And that's another thing. I had to make sure that everything I do is beyond expectation.
Yeah.
That was just me. If I'm given a task, I go beyond, I go read up, I Google, I ask, and I just make sure that the outcome of what is beyond expectation.
And that's just so true. But comparing 5 years ago when you started in cybersecurity to now, um, and I feel like back then, obviously, we didn't know much about cybersecurity, and to now, cybersecurity has changed. But walk us through in terms of what do you think is that? Because let's be honest, it's hard getting in the industry right now. It's really hard, right? What advice would you give to somebody who wants to jump in and go and get into
Mm-hmm.
cybersecurity? Because it's really hard getting into cybersecurity. I think that's something we don't talk about. These videos talk about money and all these things, but let's just talk about the fact, like, what advice would you give to somebody who
Yeah.
wants to come into
Yeah.
cybersecurity right now?
Getting into cybersecurity is hard, but I think the first thing is just determination. If you are determined to get in and learn, always read, always make sure that you are up to date with what's happening in the cyber world. Do the
Hmm.
reading on like for yourself, because in cybersecurity, it's always change the next month. It's updated the next month or the next day. So you always need to stay updated. That's the thing with cybersecurity, because it's more or less real time, in real time. It's real time life situations that companies face, that organizations face. So, and the hackers don't rest, hey, they're always emerging with new strategies. So you always got to be on the defense side and just know what you're doing, you know?
100%. And that's very true.
Mhm.
These guys don't rest. These guys are always coming up with new
They don't.
tactics. Every single time you see
They
something new,
don't.
you're like, oh, what is this? I've never seen this in my life, you know?
Exactly. But you, as an analyst, you need to know there's something like this. You may not know the full thing, but you should know that a hacker could do this and it will result in this. And what can I do to mitigate the risks? That's the whole
100%.
thing.
And
Mm.
that's very much true. That's so true. I like what you really putting out there. But take us through your day to day as a SOC analyst. Most people probably don't know what a SOC analyst does. Take us to your day to day. What is that you do on a day to day basis? Because I know it changes. It can change on day to day sometimes, depending on obviously the responsibilities and duties. But what are
Yeah.
some of the things that you are doing for people out there who don't understand and know what a SOC analyst does?
Okay. So a SOC analyst has basically, I think, three levels. And the one that I'm actively in and that I've have experience in, some now they call it incident response.
Mm.
So you are the first line defense, right? You're the first line defense of the organization. You are the one to make sure that the information and their data, their systems are secured. So we are the ones to also pick up if anything is a risk or is a threat for the organization. And, sometimes you find that you are able to remediate, but sometimes you find out that you actually need to escalate. But that's the whole point of being like an incident response engineer. Just like when there's an accident on the road, you have different lines of response people. When you get into a car accident, the first thing you call is obviously if there's someone who's hurt. Now, that's the thing about being like a SOC analyst. You need to know the situation and what to do, when to do it. If there's someone who's hurt in the accident, obviously you call the ambulance first, right?
Mm.
But if it isn't much of a big deal, then you call the police and, they do all the stuff and all the stuff. That's what we do. We are there to see how the situation is. What is it that we need to do next? How bad is the situation? And how can we fix it or stop the threat from growing bigger? So yeah, I
Nice.
think in simple terms we can put it like that.
Yeah, because I see that you spoke about different levels as well. There's level one, level two, level three. I think it also
Hmm.
depends on the
Hmm.
company. Most people who don't know about the SOC, that some
Yeah.
companies they don't have level ones, level two, level three. Some
Mm,
companies
true.
everybody's just treated the same. So just
Mm,
to tell people a bit more about level ones and level twos. So basically, level ones are mostly, as Gia explained, that's what they do. Level two are a bit much more in the middle and senior part of things. Level three, they
mhm,
are more on the red teams and purple teamers. So they take everything
mhm,
in. It's either an incident happens, they have to hack into the system or do a lot of, yeah. So they do a lot of that. But
mhm,
what advice would you give, or not even advice? What certifications do you have on your side? Since obviously you're SOC analyst, and what certs do you want to
mhm.
get to obviously upskill yourself since you are upskilling yourself?
Yeah, I currently have this S plus, which is the security plus. It's the entry level for being into cybersecurity. It gives you all the fundamentals for cybersecurity. And I want to do the CISP, SSP, but also I am stuck in between whether getting like a basic fundamental networking certificate, because that is very fundamental to anyone who's just trying to get into cybersecurity. I really recommend that you do networking. It will make life so much easier, you know. Yeah. So yeah, but at the end, I think I really believe I want to do ethical hacking. Like I am so convinced I want to do ethical hacking. So that's where I am going.
It's nice in the ethical side of things. I won't lie.
Right?
It's nice, and,
I
and
need to be that side.
you will. I mean, I've seen your work. I've
Mm,
seen the knowledge space that you have as well, and you've got.
mhm.
Trust me, you've got the skills, and I truly believe that you have everything that you need to get in order for you to get there as well.
Oh, thank
But
you, man.
that part about networking, people think I'm crazy when I tell
We
them
don't
about.
talk about that enough, guys. I
Exactly.
think we don't talk about that enough,
Let's
and
talk
it
about
plays
it
a huge
now.
role. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it
Like,
now. Why?
I it's firstly, before you understand systems, how systems work, your systems being your computers, your cloud, whatever's, all that infrastructure stuff, you need to understand how they communicate.
Yeah.
Simply that. You need to understand that a computer uses binary numbers the same way we use languages, the same way I can call you BK and you answer,
Mm,
is because we have a common language. There's no barrier. With
yeah.
computers, it's numbers. It's important to understand how everything transport from one system to another, from one network to another. And I feel also in cybersecurity, it adds a very like paramount effect in how you do your investigations, because you cannot investigate an incident if you don't know how it happened. Now, networking will help you understand, oh no, from this, the hacker went to this and it did this. This is how it transported to the systems using ports, by all those things, IP addresses, you get to learn all of that, you
Mm.
know. So I think that's where networking really comes in.
That's true, and I won't lie. I get so many inboxes from everybody who wants to be ethical hackers, and I laugh. You see, you laughing. We all know. Everybody knows. We know the truth
Mm,
because people
yeah.
think now, as long as I know how to use a tool, I'm an ethical hacker, and I'm
And
like,
another problem is that, depending on tools,
that's the
that's
thing.
like another problem.
Exactly, and I've seen that because I got or a couple of people who inboxed me and they're telling me, "Yeah, I've got a certification for this, for that, for that." I was like, "That's good," but
Mm.
what's going to be the problem is that nobody's going to hire a pen tester who has no experience because no company is going to be willing to
What are
let
you gonna
you
do?
let you penetrate or let you test the systems without me knowing anything about you. One, second of all, you have no
Mhm.
experience and you can break systems, right? That's the second thing.
Yes, and
And
it's like
also,
a
you
real
don't
environment.
exactly, you don't understand the fundamentals of going inside. If something were to
Mm.
happen right now, you won't have the real life experience. And having a certification for that doesn't really help if you have no outside experience, because it's different. Outside
Mm.
experience and playing around, that's super different from everything else. Because having, as you're saying, having network skills, I truly believe as
It's
well,
very,
it takes
very
you far.
important. But are we saying there are no companies that are willing to just train people and, get them into the cybersecurity industry?
That's very true.
Say
That's
someone does not have a certificate, but they want to get into cybersecurity. Are there companies that actually take people, train them, and, use them for their organizations?
I mean, there are companies like that, I mean, the companies, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
we work together, which actually do that.
Mm-hmm.
They take people which have no prior experience and stuff like that, and even certifications. Because most of the time, people think that you need to get a particular certification to get into cybersecurity. It's not about the certification,
Mm.
it's about the knowledge and the skill. Because in the interview process, you will be tested about the knowledge. I think you know that as well.
And technical stuff, yeah.
Exactly. So,
So I think the best thing is to just say there are so many free um sources that will give you courses on networking, just the fundamentals. Like, it's
yeah.
very important to just complete those courses. They are free. You get to know stuff. At least you have like an idea, and you can actually put it in your CV.
Exactly. So yeah, just as you're saying, because I also refer a lot of people to those free
Mm,
sites that get those certifications, but try to get a
mm,
brighter understanding of everything as well. And then practice, put things into practice and see how we can help
mhm,
you and you can benefit from that. And that's something which I like. And I think one thing I also admire about you is your knowledge base. Your knowledge base is so amazing. Um, I want you to to give me a scenario. So this is a weird question, right? But this question is very funny. But I want you to tell us about the
mhm.
time where you had, or a time you made a mistake, or you saw something that you didn't understand.
Oh, that is the hardest. It's so hard. And I feel the big part of that is to just have people who are there to guide and direct you, and there are so many times you make a lot of mistakes. I mean, with my first companies, I did a lot of mistakes, and it was one big client, and it was a very difficult client. But I feel it's the grace to handle the situation. But the first thing is to just own up to the mistake, to say, what, yeah, this is my bad. How can I do this better? How should I have done it? So that's why I say it's important to just have someone who can just direct you and guide you into things. Mistakes happen a lot. We are humans. The same way a person can just put a USB into their system and there we go, there's a malware, there's a ransom, the whole computer line is just infected. It's just a human error.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's talk about the
Mm.
money. I want to talk about the money where everybody, the money part is very interesting. Where
Mm.
we want to, where you get that. Obviously, different videos are coming out where they be like cybersecurity, you can become a millionaire.
Oh, those videos are a scam. For me, those videos are a scam.
Why? Why do you think a
Because
scam?
you know what? I feel like people will just jump into it and say, oh no, I'm just going to get into cybersecurity and I'm earning like 45K a month to 60K. But we were actually talking about this just the other day with my colleagues, how the money actually depends on your experience. The
Mhm.
money depends on the certificates you have, whether we like it or not, how credible you are. The money depends on the knowledge that you have. I
Yes.
mean, a company will not put a junior on a senior position. That is a risk on its own, just because they want to earn whatever more than 60K a month. I mean, there is like a standard rate for cybersecurity analysts, but I feel like it's a journey, and the more you learn and acquire all the skills, it's the more you can have more money. And it's the more you can actually tell a company, no, but I have this and this, I can do this and this. You can put me on this salary range, but the money is good.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's what we're working for.
Yeah, exactly. And it takes a bit of time for the money to be good and experience as well.
Yes.
You know,
Yes, that's what we were saying. To say, sometimes we just jump into it and we think 4 years can get us like more than 50K a month. No, you
yeah.
have to climb the ladder. Like you have to climb the ladder and just, always, always, always upskill yourself, make yourself valuable to a company.
Yeah, I have a friend that,
Mm,
and I think you know this. I told you about him. Is that
mm,
he's got 10 years experience, and he earns like over
mhm.
200K a month, right? So
Imagine.
yeah, so with him it's much more different because he's got 10 years experience, and before that he was not
Mhm.
earning 200,000 rand.
That much.
You
Yes.
see, because he was saying that if he didn't upskill himself and all these things, he was not going to get that money because
He
now he's
was
got
gonna
the
still stay on
knowledge.
one
Exactly.
level. Mm,
Yeah, well,
mm.
but just to
So you
repeat,
see, the trick is just to make yourself valuable. That's all. That's just life in any organization. Always, always make sure that you are reading, you are doing courses, you are putting them up your resume, and you actually practice that.
exactly. Yeah, I love that. But
Mm,
since we are closing it off right now, what advice would
okay.
you give to somebody right now who's watching this and saying, "Hey, Kia, you really inspired me about this interview. I got inspired by this interview, and I'm sitting here, I'm stuck. Um, I don't know where to go next. I don't know
Mhm,
anything in terms of the steps of becoming a cybersecurity analyst. I want to become a cybersecurity analyst. I don't know where to
mm,
start, how to start. What would you give to somebody who's got passion and they're saying, I don't have any IT experience as well? What advice would you give to that person
mhm.
who wants to start out and walk in the same shoes that you've walked?
Firstly, just believe in yourself and be determined to do it. And be ready. Be ready for all the changes that are going to take place. Be ready that you're going to have to be uncomfortable because you're going to do a lot of learning. For me, it was very uncomfortable because I had to like go 10 times the extra mile than everybody else who had IT basics, but it's very much possible. Read, do the courses, have a network of people who are cyber analysts, get the inspiration, read cybersecurity news, read cybersecurity articles, listen to cybersecurity podcasts, just listen to how people do it and actually apply the same. Because if it can happen to one person, it can definitely happen to you. That's just the rule of life. So that's why I said, just believe in yourself, be determined, and keep going.
I like that. Be determined about
Yeah,
everything that you want to do and believing in yourself because this game, especially working in the
definitely.
SOC, you can you
Oh,
need to believe in yourself. It really
you
happens as an
do.
engineer. You end up not believing in yourself
Oh,
because of some things you're seeing, and you're like, "Yo, I don't know
true.
this," and you doubt yourself. So
And it's very intimidating.
it is. It's so true. And I like what you were saying is that surround yourself with the right people, and also listen to podcasts, watch videos as much as you
Yeah,
can, and try to put those things into practice using sites like your Try Hack Me, Cyberry,
yeah,
Let's Defend, all these sites, and just see how you
hmm,
can implement these things and give yourself experience. Networking is
absolutely.
key to everything. Thank you
Mhm.
so much, Kia, for coming through to the
Thank
show.
you, BK.